Be advised, the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Good morning. You're watching the Business Portal, your gateway to business trends and opportunities. I'm your host, Vincent Sarabi-Ong. This is EntrepConnect. Good morning. Welcome to EntrepConnect. I'm Vincent Sarabi-Ong. So today our guest is Chiqui Go. Well, she and her husband, Josiah Go, made this book, The We Entrepreneur. So how can I describe Chiqui Go? I guess behind every great man is a woman. So we have Chiqui Go. She's the wife of the famous marketing guru, Josiah Go, and she's also president and CEO of Mansmith and Fielders. They do marketing,
sales training,
and consultancy. She's a teacher in Ateneo, second sem every. And but first, before she became the great woman behind Josiah Go, she was a housewife for 10 years. So, Chiqui, how did you start to be an entrepreneur? You're saying it's the flow. It just flowed in. But after 10 years, how did you know that maybe I should get out of the house and do something different?
Actually, first of all, good morning, Vincent. Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to be here. I was a housewife for 10 years, as you mentioned, and it was by choice. I would say I was lucky to have been privileged to be able to stay at home. I mean, it's not easy to have just one income as a source of everything that you have to fund at home. So I was lucky to be able to have a husband who was able to provide well because he was an entrepreneur. And for the first 10 years, I decided I'm going to have my kids and be there to watch over them. And as I wrote,
it's going to be your business.
And yes, well,
your entrepreneurial business.
Yes, and it was a choice that I never regretted. I mean, I still love the feeling of being at home, watching the children grow. I mean, that will always be a blessing to me. But what I really think came to fore at that point, the time of my life when the kids were growing up. I think every person, not just a woman, not just a mother, would think, okay, what's in store for me after I've done this? And I was fortunate that we had our business. I think that's the blessing of entrepreneurship. We have Waters Philippines. That's an MLM company into water purifiers and health products, foot detox system. So I started just helping out Josiah on a part-time basis because I wanted to say, okay, I wanted to make sure I have time for the kids. If they call me from home, I have to be there. If the school needs me, I have to be there. So it had to be like...
So you seem to be the man of the house.
well, that too. That was very well clear. If I was at home, I see to it that everything was fixed. Josiah, of course, was the boss at the office. In the office. So that was pretty much clear. Things now would be different when we started working together, and that's the challenge, I think, of a husband and wife working together.
What is the difference between home Josiah and business Josiah or Chiqui? At home and
an entrepreneur, no? I mean, not just Josiah. I think when it comes to work, it's all work. It's also the thing that I marvel about in entrepreneurs when I was learning to be one is the intense focus. If they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to pursue that, and they will work, they will move heaven and earth just to really get what they want, and that's a focus that every entrepreneur should have. At home, he was more laid back, of course. I had everything fixed. Being a housewife for 10 years, you'd imagine that I had everything into its own box. Okay, everybody should be exact. Well, not as OC as that, but as I tried to put everything into place, to make things easier for everyone. I think the blessing there, and every mother or every woman working would realize, is when I was able to get a perfect set of household help to help me with the kids. That's why I could move on. I think
it's a matter of HR.
Exactly, it's not easy. I mean, I always tell my friends, madaling madaling manganak, mahirap maghanap ng yaya.
So this is interesting. Family is really a business in itself.
It is. It is. To run it,
Yeah.
it takes even more time.
And you have to move heaven and earth.
Well, more, more. I think for your children, you really lay your life down.
So when you started with Josiah, were there things that surprised you about him? Because I started working in my family business 3 years ago, and there were things about my family members that I never knew. They were talented in certain areas, and they had certain problems in certain areas. So what was your experience with?
Again, going back to the intense focus of Josiah, he tends to forget to eat lunch. Okay, and I'm a person who can't function when I'm hungry. Okay. So when I started to join the business, I think that was the first thing that I corrected. Yes. We have to eat lunch during lunchtime. Okay, so at least that fixed that side of the health issue for him. So that's one.
Some more well-balanced.
Well, people need to eat.
Yes.
So and then more than that, it's balancing the good moments with the bad moments. Entrepreneurship, there are a lot of ups and downs. So how do you cope with each one?
Yes, how do you differentiate yourself at home and at work? Because it sometimes carries over and vice versa.
Exactly, all the time, especially when it's husband and wife. And you're just about to go to sleep and you remember, have we done this yet?
Yes.
So there's a piece of paper beside our bedsides and we have to write, okay, tomorrow we'll discuss this. So it's not a very good thing, right?
Yes.
So when you're supposed to be relaxing, you're supposed to be, okay, let's just watch TV, let's just cuddle and be okay with each other. But sometimes it doesn't happen. It's not a good thing, and yet it's not a bad thing, because you share as a couple all the pressures that go with work, all the good things that go with work, the successes as well. So it's just a matter of how far do you switch off finally. Okay, it's nighttime, let's switch off.
Okay.
So
let's just watch TV.
or just read and do. Over the years, we've learned a lot to do that, to reward ourselves with.
What about you,
moments.
going back into business? Because you had communications as your
as a college degree, and marketing.
Marketing. So finally going back to business. What is what you discovered about yourself working in?
I was always a student leader back in college, even in high school. So I knew what I wanted. I was that kind of person who would pursue certain things. Whether pursuing a good family life was one of my priorities. But after that, when I decided to work, I could translate the same kind of passion and standards that I was used to all these years. So it wasn't really tough. After 10 years of being a housewife, then moving on to.
So you knew you had the knack to do it.
I had it, yeah. I was a perpetual learner. Even as a housewife, I would read a lot, and sometimes when I get into discussions with other people and family members, they'd say, "Aren't you a housewife? Why do you know all these things?" And I say, "I read, I read, and I read." So the beauty of reading, I think we share that same passion, right? And for entrepreneurs, that's a very important thing: continuous learning. And so I would read, of course, both literary, current events, and even business that I see on Josiah's side of the bed, and said, "What's this?" And I'd read, "Oh, innovation, oh, strategy, and this is interesting." And so I'd get involved. But when I started to join the business, it was on a part-time basis, and I was handling marketing communications. So it wasn't so drastic. It was along my line.
I mean, it's water and.
Yes, it was along my line of interest anyway. I mean, marketing communication, advertising. If I have to do PR, etc. So it was fun in that
Did
point.
any of you have qualms about working together? Was it you or Josiah?
We didn't know what we were getting into, honestly.
Okay, so
honestly, I mentioned pretty much in the book, it took a while for us to adjust. People had to adjust more to talking to me, not just as a wife of the boss, not just as a manager, but as a wife of the boss. That's different, right?
Yes.
So do we talk to Chiqui as a manager, a co-manager, or do we talk to her as the boss's wife? It's not easy for our staff as well. What about discussions that you should only be discussing in the boardroom and not in the bedroom, or the bedroom and not in the boardroom? So these are the things that we took a lot of
So any little
adjustments.
tips for our viewers?